It's never been as bad as what it is right now, as far as insurers pulling back and not paying for proper repairs. There's two problems here in Colorado. One, we have an insurer that doesn't have it in their policy, and they're the largest insurer of property damage in Colorado.
Yep.
That's a problem for consumers. Secondly, it takes too long to get through the process and makes it less desirable to go down that road because it can take months. Unsafe is the key thing here.
That's right.
This is not a money thing per se, but it takes money to repair these cars properly.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Airing of Grievances. My name is Eric Reamer. That's the man, Robert Grieve, right there, and we are so thankful that you are here watching this with us today. If you are watching the premiere, that is the first airing of this episode on Saturday morning at 9:30 in the Mountain Standard Time, then we encourage you to click the chat button or tab and go ahead and chat with us. Let us know where you're watching from.
Talk to me.
Yeah, we always enjoy that. That's a lot of fun. Secondarily, if you are one of our regulars, we thank you so much for being here. We're grateful for you. In any case, we encourage you to click the thumbs up. That lets YouTube notify others that this is content that is valuable to them as well as to you. And if you haven't yet, click the subscribe button and the notification bell. We appreciate that as well. All right.
Thank you.
Rob, happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday. My dear friends. Happy Saturday.
Always. Let's talk for just a moment about some legislation that is being considered currently in the Texas House of Representatives. But it is important to all of us because, of course, as we're talking about changing not just local laws, but there are a lot of people around the country watching this. And it's about what we have talked about before. It's called the appraisal clause.
Yep, or right to appraisal, either way.
Yes. And in that, the appraisal clause, and let me see if I'm you, right? I am not a technician in the collision industry. However, I know enough to be dangerous, and dangerous is probably the key word. In my estimation, the appraisal clause is really the consumer's only recourse if they disagree with what the insurer says we're only willing to pay for a particular repair. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's kind of like an arbitration clause, if you will.
There you go. And when someone invokes the appraisal clause, if it's allowed in your policy, and that's a big if, we'll talk about
Ding.
that. Yeah. When you invoke the appraisal clause, then that means that you have to pick an independent
appraiser,
as well as the insurance company gets to pick an independent appraiser. Those two check out the repair order and decide whether or not there's room for movement in either direction. If they cannot agree, then there is an umpire that is brought in, and that umpire has the final word. And their decision is binding. Am I pretty dead on that?
Yep. There's little nuances state to state, but and really policy to policy.
Okay.
But generally speaking, that's the gist of it right there.
So if you understand appraisal as I do in this particular situation, the right to appraisal or the appraisal clause, then you will perhaps appreciate the significance of the proposed legislation and the legislation that is working through the Texas House right now is all about whether or not we should remove the opportunity to have this appraisal clause.
Yeah, it's a critical conversation no matter what state that you're in.
Right.
And this does not just apply to automobile damage. This is a property damage.
Okay.
So whether it's your home or your diamond ring or your car or your boat, or if the insurance company owes you for a loss, then they owe you to put it back to pre-loss condition.
That's another phrase that gets somehow
Watered
clouded,
down, and
muddied.
And there's, I'm not familiar with the policies in Texas.
Right.
Most of the ones I see here in Colorado do talk about pre-loss condition.
Right.
And some of the laws even talk about pre-loss condition.
Yeah.
So the condition the vehicle was in just prior to the loss, it has to be made
back to that.
That's whole. That's being made whole.
And there's, it's kind of like the Bible. Everybody's got their own interpretation. And so...
Yep. No shortage of interpretations.
However, if we remove the right for you to even have a seat at that interpretation table, all kinds of bad things from our perspective can and potentially will take place. So let's break down what's going on here and why it matters to you.
Shout out to Laura Lowry.
Oh.
The
Repair Driven News.
That wrote this article. Hell of a job as always.
Yeah.
And you can find this on the Repair Driven News website, which I recommend you sign up and get those daily briefings. It's the latest and the greatest, most important information available to the industry and consumers.
Absolutely.
As well. And this is the Texas House members here right to appraisal concerns.
Yeah.
So two of the people that are mentioned in the article, I have very high esteem for.
Okay.
Burl Richards owns a shop in Texas, and he's also the Auto Body Association of Texas president.
Okay.
And he is an amazing person.
Yeah.
And
you spent some time with him recently.
I have.
Yeah.
Again, I hold him in the highest esteem. And also fighting this fight in Texas is my dear friend Robert McDormand. And he is Auto Claims Specialist Managing Director. And he is a wealth of information.
Okay.
And totally consumer driven. And he fights for consumers like you just can't believe.
All right. Coming from you, that's high praise, because I know nobody else who fights more than you. So
I love spending time. Any amount of time I can get with those people is precious time to me. So
at the heart of this matter and the fight that's going on between pretty much the insurance industry and these people that you just mentioned, body shop owners in particular, but ultimately it affects the consumer.
This is all about the consumer,
right? Should we get
and
rid
safe repairs,
right? And safe repair. Okay,
and safe repairs.
Yeah. Okay, so there's where I was going to go. It's not just about how much they're willing to pay and should we use aftermarket parts or not. And if you don't know where we stand, if you're new to the channel, we're firmly on the side of OEM, original equipment manufacturer only.
Yeah.
That's
parts and procedures.
It's an important thing.
And equipment.
Yeah. Don't cut corners.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. We're talking about the safety of the people who get into the vehicles that are repaired, and who is ultimately responsible and liable for that repair.
Yeah. So they talk about one insurer that they have in Texas, which we have the same one here in Colorado,
Yeah.
that somehow got the appraisal clause taken out of the policy.
What are you wearing? Khakis?
No.
Oh. Just thought I'd ask.
So they still have the appraisal clause in there for if your vehicle is deemed a total loss. But there is no right to appraisal if your vehicle is deemed repairable. So basically what that says is they're going to pay whatever they want to pay, and that's all you're going to get unless you want to sue them.
And you have no recourse but to sue them if you
have
want
to sue them
recover the difference.
Right. And I can tell you traditionally they are nowhere near what it takes to fix a car. Unfortunately, because there's many shops that will fix it improperly for less money, and they use that in their algorithms. And
Yeah, we call those shops DRPs, and we
partner shops.
That's
and-
right, the preferred
Yep.
shops that they may reference when they speak to you.
But there was a lot. So the one, it was taken out of the policy. There's no law apparently that says it has to be in there.
Right.
Another insurance company petitioned to have it removed.
Yeah.
And got turned down because they wouldn't answer the questions that were posed to them
By the
as
Department
to
of
what's the
Insurance.
motive, and
Yeah.
I don't know what the questions were, but
Yeah, but it was the Department of Insurance that was asking,
Yep.
and it was the Department of Insurance who said, no, you can't remove that
Yeah.
if you're not willing to answer our questions.
right, basically that's the case. And this is really, we've used the appraisal clause throughout the years, and we've never lost going to appraisal.
When you say we,
Nylund's.
okay,
Nylund's, when we represent a guest and have them invoke their appraisal clause, we send them to a third-party adjuster.
yeah,
The insurance company picks their third party, and they get together and figure it out. There's two problems here in Colorado. One, we have an insurer that doesn't have it in their policy, and they're the largest insurer of property damage in Colorado.
yep,
That's a problem
Yep.
for consumers. Secondly, it takes too long to get through the process and makes it less desirable to go down that road
Sure.
because it can take months.
yeah,
So, there's lots of bits and pieces to the thing. I'm going to be bringing this up with the Department of Insurance here in Colorado.
you have a unique seat at that table.
I have, well, we'll see.
We'll
see.
what I mean by that is you are currently an appointed committee member
Yeah.
for
On the consumer side of thing, representing consumers in Colorado.
with the Colorado Department of Insurance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to suggest these things to the department that we take a little closer look at it. I'll be using some of the stuff from Texas and other
Yeah.
states that are doing a great job. But in Colorado, there is no law that I understand. I understand that there is no law that says that they have to have this in the policy.
Okay.
That's a problem because creating laws takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and
Sure.
could be years of testimony and all the rest of that to get that through. So the insurance company doesn't have it. There's nothing that can force them to make it happen.
Understood.
And then the Department of Insurance really can't kind of handles regulating laws that are there and interpreting laws that are there.
Sure.
If the law's not there, there's nothing to interpret or regulate or put regulations in on.
Right.
So, but I'm still going to run it up the food chain and make the department aware of what's going on.
Well-
Because I'm sorry to interrupt. It's never been as bad as what it is right now, as far as insurers pulling back and not paying for proper repairs.
Right.
And what they'll do is we'll write what to do. We have all the procedures, all the rest of that. We could substantiate everything that we're putting on to repair the vehicle properly.
Right.
And they'll say, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. It's not reasonable and customary. And
Which is a phrase. We actually have a video about reasonable and customary.
yeah, and they'll convince the guest that they're better off taking it to one of their partner shops, and we don't repair the car. So, and I can only imagine what kind of a repair they get. I could show you picture after picture of the repairs they get.
Yeah.
But
Because they come back.
yep, they come back, and many times they're totaled
Yeah.
because the repairs are so horrific and unsafe. Unsafe is the key thing here.
That's right.
This is not a money thing per se, but it takes money to repair these cars properly.
Sure.
And there's lots of shops that just don't understand the complexity of these vehicles and how they're designed and how they need to be repaired, nor do they have the equipment that they need to repair these cars properly. But the insurance company, they pay them the same that they pay us.
Yeah.
It's just that they don't know how to do it right, and they don't charge to do it right, so they're cheaper. And unless the guest comes out of pocket for that difference, and then we get them set up with other professionals to recover that money,
Right.
Which almost everybody gets their money back
Okay.
because it comes out of a different financial bucket on the financial statement of the insurance company. It doesn't come from the appraisers here. It comes from a bucket up there. And
What you just said is a great topic for another discussion,
Yeah.
because, boy, isn't that the truth.
So anyway, there were a lot of players at this hearing
Yeah.
that they were having, and I really found this. It is so correct, and this is from Doug Heller, who's the Consumer Federation of America Director of Insurance.
Okay.
And he says when insurance companies get repair decisions wrong, it can be a deadly decision, Heller said. It can mean that a car doesn't crumple the right way the next time it's in a crash. It can mean a driver or perhaps the next owner of that car is in a serious jeopardy because of the insurance companies either sought to cut corners or missed something and then refused to accept or even discuss another expert's assessment. The appraisal process is guardrails against cutting corners, lowballing, and mistakes by insurers. I couldn't have said it better myself. Nice work.
Yeah, it really is a guardrail against all these cutting corners. And if you don't have to be beholden to anybody else, then where's the accountability?
Right. And so we're dealing with these local adjusters, and some of them are, at national headquarters and stuff like that.
Sure.
And they're making these horrific decisions,
Yeah.
not even seeing the car. I mean, they're looking at pictures and
Right.
stuff.
They're not even coming on
Yeah,
site.
They're not even coming on site. They're making these horrific decisions. And it's interesting that if there's an appraisal clause in the policy, and if the consumer decides to invoke their right to appraisal,
Yeah.
the consumer's appraiser, independent appraiser, and the insurance company's independent appraiser always agree that we were right to begin with.
Right.
There's just not enough of it happening because it's kind of an arduous, it's not an expensive process, but it's time consuming, and insurance companies generally drag it out to make it harder on you.
You bet. It's painful if you can't have your work vehicle back in operation.
So another quote here that I really liked is the Texas Director of Insurance, Cindy Wright, told the committee she pulled a number of the consumer complaints filed with the Texas Department of Insurance from 17 through the end of 2021, and out of about 100,000 complaints,
Yeah.
not claims, 100,000 complaints.
Right.
544 were related to appraisal, but didn't have specifics on what the complaints entailed. It is getting so horrific out there dealing with most of the insurance companies. I'm not talking about the Chubbs, the Amicas, and Pures, and the other good companies that really seek to take care of their consumers,
Yeah.
and their insureds. I'm talking about the ones you see on TV mostly. They need to pay for their ads, they need to pay for the personalities, and they want to make a whole bunch of money.
Yep.
And they do it off of, every dollar they save off an estimate is, it's a lot of money to them.
Money in their pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this appraisal clause thing is it's near and dear to my heart. I know lots of people that help out in this arena and that are experts in this arena, and we need to, if you see any legislation, whether you're in Texas or wherever you're at, support this legislation. It's very, very important to consumers.
Yeah.
It's sometimes the only avenue that will get them their car repaired properly or the proper amount on their total loss vehicle, because, Robert McNorman, on 8 out of 10 claims that comes to us on total loss claims, we're able to increase the settlement $4,200.
$4,200. That's not small change.
8 out of 10 claims, $4,200. So the only reason that can be is because they're shortchanging you to begin with. And it's unfortunate that we need to go through all this. Yeah. We've already gone through the loss.
Right.
Why can't we just trust our insurer that we pay our premiums to do the right thing? You can't. Just so you know.
There are some insurance companies that don't put up these fights, that are transparent in their operations, and when we submit an estimate or
a blueprint, supplement, whatever,
they say yes because
they know we're going to do it, and they know it needs to be done.
Yeah, and it's going to be done right.
So anyway, that's our topic for this morning. Hats off to the people in Texas, Burl and Robert, all the rest of the other game-changing people that are working from the association side of things to make things happen.
They're fighting the good fight, and we appreciate that. And let me address you as a viewer. If you're still here with us at this point of the video, first of all, thank you. Share this video with your sphere of influence, if you would. That's important. But second of all, Rob said something that I want to draw attention to. He says, we know lots of people who are doing this, fighting the good fight and representing the consumer. So if you're not in the state of Colorado, or you need somebody where you are, give us a ring, and
we'll get you pointed in the right direction.
That's just it, right?
Yep, happy to do it.
Here's the phone number for you right there. We'd love it if you would just pick it up, give us a call, let us know if there's anything that we can do to help. And in the meantime, thanks for supporting us here on this channel.
Truly grateful.
Leave a comment below, if you would, please, letting us know that you're, for this, not just video series, but what we're trying to accomplish on behalf of you, the consumer. Those comments go a long way for us as well. And we will catch up with you again next week. And until then, Rob.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
My dear friends, thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate you.